All right, and we are live. So, welcome everyone to the RegiCast. I'm your host, Reginald. Joining me today is Joyce. So, Joyce, welcome.
Hey Reggie.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Good. I'm gonna see how long it's gonna take for you before you start trolling me. Okay, I've learned I've learned your ways. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, guys, I'm gonna say this. I'm not Benjamin. I'm not Kendrick. I'm not gonna talk to Joyce about every single function under the sun. Like, I'm not. So she has, first of all, she has her own YouTube channel. I should probably start plugging people. She has her own YouTube channel that's doing extremely well. I like her thumbnails. Go check that out. Okay, she's doing great things over there. Also, check out. Actually, I'm pretty sure you have a Benjamin interview, right?
Yeah, I have one of my third video is Benjamin's, and my coming up one will be about Benjamin as well too.
There you go. So check out Benjamin's channel. She's probably gonna go through it, all the TI and all this cute shit. Okay, that's not for me. All right, next. Okay, game night, guys. I told you guys doubted me because I was OE. I told you it was gonna happen. Game night in the OP community is gonna be Saturday, February 6th, between 12 and 3 Eastern and 6 through 9 Eastern. We already have our guest list starting to finalize. You guys better send me something by Wednesday, because after tomorrow, like I'm sending out the SI on this. Okay, so come join us. It's going to be Among Us and some Jackbox party games, including Quiplash apparently. So come join us and come play with us. All right. Next. All right. So Joyce is lead sleep. We're going to get into that, but she doesn't want to look at your stupid comments. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm going to be your interpreter, but there is a live chat. I'm going to be gracious enough to go through your live chat. So for example, Mina, who's very much in my FI, go watch her episode, give her some views. But I will be putting stuff on the screen so that we can talk about it if it's relevant. Okay. And finally, I'm probably doing my blast all out of order. I don't care. If you guys don't even know what these terms are, FI, all this cute stuff, basically we're going to use a lot of typology terminology. We're probably going to get into MBTI and OP. There's some overlap. There's some links in the description. Okay. I'm tired of explaining it to you. Check out objectivepersonality.com. Go to the YouTube playlist I curated of 5 to 10 minute videos. Go familiarize yourself. Okay. I'm done. Okay. Oh, and one last thing. This is very relevant. You guys can still get disrespected by me in Super Smash Brothers. Okay. I'm shirtless Sephiroth is still disrespecting a lot of people in the OP community. Ask around. Okay, I'm not lying to you. Just like I'm not lying about game night. I am disrespecting people thoroughly on a video game. Okay, so come join me. My friend code is in my abouts page. Okay, send me a message so that we can schedule a time to get your booty whooped. All right, that's it, Joyce. I know you're enduring that, so I appreciate that. So Joyce, welcome.
Yay! Glad to be here.
Yeah, appreciate that. All right, so let's start as is tradition. Let's start with some first impressions, okay? We don't know each other, so I'm not gonna pretend like we're best of friends or whatever. But I want to hear what your first impression of me is. I have my subjective, probably erroneous self-image. I don't sleep process too much, so I'm curious what your first impression is, and I'll share mine.
You're very unfiltered. You're very uncensored. You say things as they are. Pretty blunt. Yeah, and you react immediately whenever you have a reaction. I noticed that too. Maybe it's the play high up.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. I'm probably not. I'm working on it, but it's don't expect too much for the next 5 years. Okay. My first impression of you, I thought you were older. I told you this. I 100% thought you were in your 30s, not in a negative way. This is not like an appearance thing or whatever. I know how you guys are. This is purely just the level of literally what it was her execution on her YouTube channel is so good. I'm like, this must be some like person who's like a PhD in something or like really skilled in this, and that takes time. So I was like, okay, she must be in 30s. she's, but turns out she's younger than me. And then that's when I got my feelings. So that's my first impression. I think she's extremely poised. And I do think she is executing on a level that is weird for her age in a good way. So yeah, that's my first impression. I know we've talked about that. Do you want to like comment on that actually?
Yeah, I am planning to get my PhD in human resources very soon, in a year. So you're kind of psychic in that.
There you go.
Yeah. And yeah, I've been told that I seem older than I am, like for my whole life. When I was like 12, I'd have school teachers telling me that as well. So it's not just you. But I feel like how I look now, it's starting to look like backwards. So my appearance looks like I'm 18, but my mind looks like it's 70. It's very contradictory. It's because of the Asian genes. Like Asians just look like they're a fountain of youth at all times.
Oh my God. Okay. What? Okay. We have to dive into that. When you say and this is probably going to start getting into the typology indirectly, as you probably know. When you say your mind feels like it's 70, can you like elaborate on that? Because you've mentioned that quite a bit when we were talking.
Yeah, because adults, when I was younger, would notice, oh, she talks about the metaphysical, the unknowable, the unseeable a lot. Like wondering about life, its meaning, the whys behind everything. And it's kind of like I would come to them with my sleep conclusions. So I'd pre-process something and I'd tell them about what I've pre-processed. And they'd be like, whoa.
Right.
Really young to be thinking about that in that depth. Yeah.
Right. Do you have like an example of that?
Yeah, I guess it's for example, you like I'll see a kid and I'll kind of understand them in some way. So it's kind of like, oh, sometimes people do things because so there's this saying that I made up like attention substitutes attentiveness. So what this means is that sometimes when we can't get true attentiveness, which is like someone seeing, hearing us, like feeling seen for who we are, being heard for who we are, being known for what is truly us, we will substitute it with superficial attention. So like whether like it's looking nice or having face in a friend group, when someone overemphasizes their appearance, it signifies an inner problem within, which is a problem with attentiveness. Like they don't feel like someone's really paying attention to their soul. I know that's kind of woo-woo. So people will kind of look for another way to get that need heard. And the closest thing is attention. And yeah, those are the types of things I would say.
And you would say this at 12?
Yeah.
And maybe I missed it. Like, did you get to this through like observation? Like you were literally just watching people? Okay.
Yeah, people watching.
Okay, and then you put that together. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had about 10, well, I mean, I guess 10 to 20 years of practice. Do you feel like your level of observation is deepened, or do you feel like you've bottomed out?
It deepens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, everyone has their IJ box. Like I just refine my understanding of that box over time. Like it becomes more and more clear. Like a window that's defrosting, it becomes clear and I can see the image better when time passes by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, really interesting. So how do I want to navigate this? So, I mean, we're already kind of diving into your type quite a bit. Let's just kind of, finish that up, because I do want to talk about your type, but, I know you're very interested in several paradigms of typology, right? So there's MBTI and then there's OP, for example. So let me take a step back before we continue going down your type. Like when you look at yourself, like your personality, like are you first of all, are you even using a framework, or are you just using OP terms just for convenience, or for my convenience?
I see it all, like it all kind of makes sense. Like I can see how OP explains me, but I can also see myself naturally as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I see them as terms to describe human behavior. So they're very useful. Yeah. And I like OP a lot. And I like typology systems a lot too. Like I want to learn about them all and see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense in my TI.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, I do want to talk about your type because I mean I want to kind of dive into that, but I guess my question would be which angle, like I don't know how else to word it. It's like which angle do we go at it? Do you want us to stick with the MBTI route? Are we doing OP route? Like which do you prefer? I know you
Whichever.
don't like,
I have no.
whichever one. I forgot. You don't have preferences. I forgot. Guys, she's been saying this ever since I've been prepping with her. I don't just whatever you want. I'm like, what do you mean? So, all right, let's do OP because that's my preference. I don't, So, okay, so you mentioned you've been doing these observations about human nature on a very deep level ever since you were like, a very early age.
Yeah.
You're about 24 now.
Yes.
So you've been doing this for between 10 to 20 years, and you said due to that it's been refining. Can you tell me a little bit about like your experience of that refining process? Because I would imagine after a certain point, especially if it's NI, you're seeing pretty much the same. You're looking at the same pattern. So it's like, how was that refining?
It's refining. So it's kind of like I start with let's say this communication can sometimes be violent in ways that we're not aware of. So that's like my NI concept, right? And then it becomes more refined over time where I'm like, sometimes people will give you a backhanded compliment, or they'll kind of, give you contempt, but in a certain way that is not that noticeable. So sometimes people will figure out creative ways to make their communication violent. So I don't know. So, but you understand this more throughout time as the SE comes up. Even though I want to know it all right now, and I want to understand it all right now.
Right.
But it's almost like over time you learn the nuances of that. So you learn about the ways that even though people can communicate violently to each other, they can still love each other. So there's that nuance there. And then like I slowly add to the NI concept, but I have this base of understanding of something and I just keep adding on. And I go like, people are well-intentioned. They just don't notice when they're doing it because, hurt people. So it's going to like, if you, so Richard Rohr says that if you don't transform pain, you transmit it. And so people can't help but sometimes say things that hurt other people. So I don't know. So it's like figuring out things over time. It takes a while. You learn more as you go. Yeah.
Now, my question then is, are you, I guess my question, the overview of it is how is your sleep processing work on a day-to-day? Because, over the course of years, are you just intentionally bringing that pattern back up to your mind? Is it spontaneous? And let's stick with that one example you were talking about, right? Where it's like communication can be sometimes violent. Between the time you were 12 and the time you're 20, how was it just literally accidental and you would add on to it, or were you literally thinking about it intentionally every day, or a mix of, or in between?
I feel like I'm always holding it on standby. It's like on the back burner. And when something relevant comes up in the SE, then it sparks that NI. And then I just go NI for 99% of the time. And then I come back. So it's almost like with sleep processing, I go away for a long time and I think about it. And then I come back with like a takeaway. And I'm like, here's my gold nugget. Yeah.
Right. And just to kind of flesh it out, because you actually reminded me. Because I remember in prep, because I was so fascinated by, because I don't fucking sleep process, but I basically made an SI checklist of your sleep processing. So I'm going to run this by you to see if this is still the case, right? So like you said, because I literally forgot. So see how much look at how much I process, right? But anyway, so step one, so if I had to do the SI of your sleep processing, right? So step one is something triggers you to feel that, oh crap, this is bothering me. This is not resolved, right? So the example you gave me in our initial conversation was, let's say you're in a group of people and someone randomly says, hey, is God omnipresent? Right? And it will lock on, like you said, it will lock into your mind. You're like, oh, I don't know. Right? So that's step one. So there's a trigger in the environment. Step two is you intensely think about it and or keep it in the back of your mind for sensory reframes. Right? But like you said, it's always there somehow. So it's like you're almost holding it forcefully there.
Yeah, masculine and I.
Masculine. Okay. So the masculine, is forcefully holding it there so that even when the sensory is flowing through, you're hitting it against that pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3 is you form, and this is the word you gave me, you form well-formed conclusions.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So because I forgot, how do you go from step 2 to step 3 then though?
I let it all connect itself, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's almost like I kind of like I wait until it all these, SE experiences, they funnel down to a NI point, and I wait until I figure out the line of best fit through all of these real-time experiences. And then I'm like, it all makes sense. It's all this one pattern. It's kind of like stripping things away to find the essence underneath. You can just feel it when you know that you've hit it. It feels like you're mining, and then you hit gold. You know when you see gold because your eyes literally see the color of the gold.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why you called it gold nuggets. Okay, really good. But then what do you do with those gold nuggets? Like, what happens next?
I think sometimes I don't even share them. It's like forever just in me. It depends on if someone like I have someone to tell it to. Sometimes I'll just keep it to myself. But it's kind of like these patterns over time, like I'm refining them for my entire life. Yeah. It's very fulfilling to think about, these larger than life questions.
Yeah, no, okay. No, really good. I'm actually realizing, because I forgot, sleep involves both OI and DI, right? So it's both building and identity. Do you feel like as you're mining and you're getting these gold nuggets, do you feel like it's like building up your identity in the process? Like you're more maybe this is FI terms, but you're a more valuable person because of the like gold nuggets you've piled up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, like with people, sometimes what can happen is like I can sleep process on something so much that when someone says something that clearly goes against it, like my identity function, TI can be like, huh, like inside my head, I might not say it out loud. It's like that doesn't seem to line up, like the logic doesn't all line up. And it can bother me. Yeah. Yeah. And especially if it's about type and about a person's type. And if someone has like this radically different answer and where I'm like, is that really it? Like it's almost like the TI and the NI, the sleep processing will get stuck until I can really like come to like an understanding, or I'll just wait it out and wait until the information reveals itself. I'm pretty patient like that.
Right. All right, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're gonna say something else. No.
No. I have these like very short sleep like answers. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Did you sleep process? You must have sleep processed. I think I asked you before. You must have sleep processed before coming on here, right?
I sleep process my whole life. My entire life is in a state of sleep processing.
Okay, that's very broad. Okay, I guess my question is like, and this is me just honestly, I want to see if I can like steal something for myself moving forward. When you sleep process this episode, like what was that process like?
Yeah, I was like, it's gonna be an episode about OP. It's about, Reggie, and he's kind of like Joe Rogan. So yeah, you got this. Because I was kind of like, whatever your preference is for how you want to steer this, I'm kind of giving it to you.
Right.
Your FI gets to choose how we're gonna do this.
Is that my FI though, or is that your blast last?
Both.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna come back to that, but okay. Well, let me just as a follow up. This is circling back to the age issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing all this sleep processing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're getting down to all these nuggets, and consequently, you feel way older than you physically are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't that worry you?
In what sense?
Sorry, thank you. So in the sense of, let's say hopefully you live another 10 years, you're going to be mentally like 160.
That's amazing.
No, that's scarier, isn't it?
Well, that sounds great. It sounds like life hacking brain age. Wait, no.
Okay.
Depends on, yeah, no, like it's great to be more wise. It's kind of like you get more bang for your buck. I don't know. Like,
Okay, so I guess what's concerning me about this is very much, I'm gonna be any about this, so I apologize.
yeah.
But it's very much the philosopher problem, right? Where it's like they become increasingly detached from reality
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, I've seen this and I've thought about this all already, and so what's the point? Like that's my concern. Is
Yeah.
that you're like, you know, in OP terms, you're gonna be so removed by your sleep that you're like, well, what's the point of playing with people? I already know how they're gonna act. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of like I built in humbleness and into a part of my philosophy as well. I feel like because I'm blast last, I never feel like I have enough information. So it provides this humbleness in me where I never assume that I know everything because that I never feel like I have enough to fully blast.
Mhm.
So it's like because my consume is higher up, I'm just in the process of constantly learning. So it's like although I feel mentally old, I'm still open-minded, or I try to be, because I don't want to be an abomination.
You want to be a what?
I don't want to be an abomination.
What does that mean?
It means like I don't know, like a horrible person, because
Oh,
nobody tries to be a horrible person. It's kind of like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So I don't want to be that person who thinks they know everything, but then they actually know nothing, and then by thinking that they know everything, that they're harming other people. Like I don't want to be that person. So
yeah.
I try to think and sleep so much to be a good person. Yeah.
This whole good person thing makes no sense to me. I don't know what to tie that to. I have been like that in my life, but I've never been super obsessed with it in the way that I've seen TIFEs. They care so much about that. It's really weird. Do you have any sleep nuggets on that? Do you have any gold nuggets on that?
Yeah. I think it's because the FE sees what everyone values. So
Yeah.
you're going to want to know how to best accommodate for everyone's values, like how to get everyone's values met the best. Or even if you're TI savior, like the TI is still aware of the FE in some way. And so you're going to want to be a good person because you're so affected maybe by everyone's values.
I don't understand how that's anyway. Thank you. Everyone's values don't matter to me. You know,
Wow.
it's who cares? Like we were talking about this before we even went live. I was like other people's values don't matter. I don't understand. Like people are dumb sometimes. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You're lying. You're probably sleep processing me as we speak. Now I'm super skeptical. It's okay. It's okay. But while we're on the subject of FE, you know, it's at least in the OP system, that's your biggest demon, hypothetically, right? Or it's the least activated.
Yeah.
So do you feel afraid of the tribe? If you are, I'm confused because your YouTube channel, you're interviewing people all the time, like 7, 8 people on an episode. I'm like, what is going on? You know, so I'm curious, do you still have this weird relationship with the tribe or whatever?
Like I try my best to give myself exposure therapy. So there's a form of therapy where you get over things by putting yourself in that situation. So if you're
Yeah.
like theoretically afraid of pickles, you put yourself in a room full of pickles until you're desensitized to your fear, or you're desensitized to like that irrational thing that you want to avoid. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you just, oh my gosh. So your YouTube channel is exposure therapy, basically.
Yeah, yeah, in one way.
Okay. And how's that been helping you?
It has,
Okay.
having the tribe reinforce that, the content matters and that they care. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. It's slowly, building up this mountain of self-esteem with the tribe. Yeah. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Yeah. The lives help too. So for you, I think you have play higher up, so lives might be a little easier for you, or they might be your element. But for me, like it's kind of scary, like doing lives. I've started doing lives with big panels. Um, And it's because I know that it's a learning curve and you have to do it. If you're afraid of it, then that's a sign that, your treasure is on the other side of your fear. What you want most is on the other side of your fear.
Wow, we have such different philosophies on that. I've heard that. I don't do that. Like, so for example, I would be afraid of doing lives with like 8 people. That's where I'm like, this is crazy that you're doing that. And I'm play double activated, whatever. Like that would be scary to me because that even for me, that's a lot of chaos potentially. I'm like,
yeah.
It's like people talking over each other, and it's like, when do you let someone talk? I would be stressed out.
Yeah.
Now for me, the reason I do lives, I mean, yeah, it's my comfort zone, right? Like it's just very much like it feels like a conversation. It doesn't feel as big of a deal. Now, what would scare me more is, this might sound really weird, but what scares me more is like the SF thumbnail stuff. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know how to do this. And I'll freak out. Like I'll bother, one of my friends about how do I make an Instagram? I'm like an old man. But
your thumbnail for this video was like beautiful. Chef's kiss.
That's not even my fault. You see what I'm saying? Like that was Mina. That was all Mina.
Mina did it.
I didn't make it. That's what I'm saying. I delegate my fears. I'm like, you do it. Yeah, I am the worst self-growth guy. I'm like,
yeah.
You go do it. I don't want to do it. Let me just do my thing.
Yeah, you delegate your fears.
I delegate absolutely everything in my life. So let me ask you this, because you're DI double activated. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's your stance on delegation? I've heard people, recoil at the even thought of that.
Like, that's a good question. So, like, my philosophy is that if it doesn't come naturally to you, to not force it, to get someone who enjoys it to do it for you, because you'll never be happy doing the things that already don't make you happy. So I kind of see it like, I see a lot of people, like, they'll try to do things that make them unhappy instead of like giving it to a friend who would love doing it for them because they care about them.
Yeah.
But so I would say, like, I try to do everything on my own, but I understand the philosophy around outsourcing and how it's important to be like a healthy person. Because it's kind of like, if you are a play person, you'll want like a sleep person to maybe do most of the sleep processing, or you want them to teach you how to sleep process better. But at some point, you kind of like, learning is a collaborative process. You can't learn on your own. It's sleep first lessons. Like, I had to learn, you have to play, you either have to learn from someone who has the functions or the saviors that you want to learn, or you get them to do it for you, because life is more fun when we're all working as a team. It's true though. I know it's sappy, and as a double activated DI, you have to learn these before these lessons kill you. I don't know, learn the lessons so you're not a slave to those lessons, that you can like learn from them. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a very like tangential any question.
Sure.
So follow me and don't judge me. Okay, I know you have an eye. So you were mentioning, you're like in what you just said, you mentioned I see a lot of people who try and force themselves to do things that they're like they don't want to do, and it's like, why do something that makes them unhappy, so on. My question to you, what is your stance then on Dave and Shan's approach to self-growth, which is like, do your demons and force yourself, and you have to do this ego death suffering vibe?
Yeah, I mean, that can make sense too as well with it, because it's kind of like your ego has to die, so that's the parts of you try to defend dearly that aren't working. So it's kind of like, the things that work for us, sometimes we overdo them to the point of malfunction. That's Jung's entire premise, that these types that we have are a little bit of our disorders as well, if we accidentally take them too far. But sometimes, so to kind of get ourselves to out of those, you'll have to figure out a way to address your saviors, so that your saviors aren't controlling your life, but you are controlling your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Annie is going crazy. This is so weird. There's like,
Yeah.
I've only experienced this on the show like a few times. The only other time I experienced this on the show was with Odom.
Cool. Yeah, the INFJs really put you into flow because your saviors are kind of like your addictions. So, in a way, like overcoming your saviors is like overcoming your own personal addiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you like using them and you keep using them. But sometimes in the short term, it may work. But if in the long term, it's detrimenting you, it's hard.
No, really good. There's an example. I wish I could spoil this. I really wish I could spoil this show for you guys. I'm not. Okay. But one of the examples is there's a fictional I can't even say it. Basically, like the example that's coming to my mind is there's this story of like an EP who by the end of the story becomes the most controlling because the irony is they're a slave to their addiction to freedom. So they're trying to take freedom away from everyone else to ensure their own freedom. But that's why they're controlling. So sorry, my mind like had to go there. But I think that's a really good example. Sorry, it's any, but like I think that's a really good example of like what you're talking about, where it's like if you overdo what you're good at, like for this character's example, he was really good at like, creating freedom, but in the process of that, he enslaved the world, basically. It's freaking crazy.
Yeah, yeah. We'll like protect our saviors to death. Because it's kind of like our saviors, if we try to get rid of them, but we're attached to them, it'll trigger our survival instincts. So it's kind of the part of you that's primal, that goes back to your caveman days. If you still are attached to your ego, then trying to get rid of your saviors will feel like you're going to die. Because it's almost like you've used it for your survival for so long that almost trying to edge off of it feels like death. So it can be so hard.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. Anyway, so I'm tangenting. That's just been that show in general has been on my mind for a little bit. So it's been very fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So Effie's checked off. Let me look at my notes. Let me not try and bullshit this.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. What do we got to talk about? Oh, we have to talk about like. First of all, you're similar to Odom. Let's actually switch to that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you experienced that? Like, have you talked to him?
Yeah, he's cool. I had him on my channel. I did an NITI objective personality episode. He was there. Yeah. Yeah. I guess he's like me, but he has feminine NI. And so he's less certain of it than I. For me, I just am more certain.
Yeah. You're the 10-year plan lady. Yeah.
I'm the 10-year plan lady. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk me through your masculine NI a little bit? Like, how is that possible?
So it's kind of like you see how things can unfold because if you have this one concept, you can see how this one concept plays out throughout time. So it allows you to have prediction ability because of that. If you know how the concepts stack over time into this one concept, you can understand how that will play out over time. So it'll give you an ability to kind of forecast. And that's how I experience mine.
Can you give me an example, please?
So it's kind of like knowing like, I don't know, someone I'm about to date, I can see red flags right off the bat. So I'm like,
okay.
This is not going to work out because I know this person cares about this and it doesn't really jive with me. So over time, this will become a bigger and bigger issue. If this is already an issue within 10 minutes of meeting this person, or if this is already an issue within 2 days of knowing this person, it's going to be a way bigger issue over time. Because it's kind of like if you notice a small little blimp, they become big blimps over time. And it's like knowing that I kind of know red flags carry on. Does that make sense? I know how a red flag can manifest over time.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Because where my mind is going is like, yeah, like I don't know what to attribute this to, but it's I'm like, yeah, unless they change, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's my any or my masculine sensory or both. But for me, it's like until I have all the data, how am I gonna know? Like,
yeah,
because first impressions are just like deceptive. So I'm trying like it's almost like you're judging off the first impression. It's not
like judging. Like I'm flexible. If they do change, then I'll recognize it. But I also start with the premise that, okay, SE, I've seen 100 people. Out of those people, the people who've been willing to change have been too. And I'm like, so it's very unlikely that they would change. I'm leaving a possibility open that they will change. But, you know, the most likely scenario is that the red flags will stay. Unless they like find a reason to completely transform themselves. People are addicted to their egos. They're addicted to staying the same because the familiars feel safe, and people like to, they live their life in cycles. That's why we have tidal waves. And so I kind of expect people that their relationship tidal waves with me will show up unless they radically want to change that. But not a lot of people in their lifetime end up overcoming their tidal waves. And I'm aware of that as well.
Okay, so talk me through how that framework of yours allows you to plan 10 years into the future. How's that possible?
Yeah. I mean, because it's kind of like my 10-year plans in the future are kind of typology related, because right now I've decided to like commit my life to typology. So it's like I've found like a way, like a vague way, like a vague 10-year plan on how to contribute my own take onto typology, how to do the, you know, how, I don't know, how to live life maybe in that's conducive to this one goal that I want.
Yeah.
Very, yeah. Like, what do you want me to tell? Like, you?
No, don't fucking FE this. Stop.
Whatever you
talking.
value, I value.
I don't know what. Stop. Stop. Why are you doing that? Just talk. It's okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I told you, I want to get my PhD, and I want to write my own book within this 10 years, and I want to write my own type of test, and I want to validate it, and I want to get it out in a 10 years time too. So, you know, maybe it's like MBTI 2.0, you know, making it better, making it include the cognitive functions, and giving it cross checks. So a way for it to be double checked, the results. And so, yeah, that's my goal. It's kind of like a 10-year plan to improve stuff, improve life, improve type.
Yeah. Do you whenever you make these like masculine NI plans, have you ever changed them? And if so, like why?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so currently I'm not sure if I'll get evicted out of my house because we don't know if we can pay off the house. It's a long story. So that's a form of maybe having to change my NI plan. I have to figure out where to live. I have to figure out who to live with. And so that's thrown my plan off because I don't know what to do. So I'm in the process of recalibrating because of that. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, that's not even like a change in the plan. That's just like you're adjusting.
It's adjusting. It's a change of the plan because now I have to plan for a way to live life outside of here. Like, where am I going to take my life?
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Right. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever dropped a plan? Is maybe more my question.
Dropped a plan? I've dropped friendships. I mean, so that's like leaving friendships because they weren't a part of the plan. So it's abandoning friends for the plan.
Yeah, see?
Because like I had some friends who weren't that into type, and I was fine with them until they started to be a little hostile about type. And I'm like, come on, you know that I really care about this. All right. Then I had to INFJ door slam them out of my life in a gentle way.
Yeah.
But that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Can't relate, but that's okay. That's why you're the 70-year-old over in the room. That's so funny. Let's see here.
You asked me earlier about like why I do like YouTube videos, and like so I started doing lives. So the reason why I started doing lives is because your whole life is live in some way, right? You can never really pre-record your life and then edit it and then send it out. And so I realized that you're always living your life in the live mode. It's just like it's not broadcasted on YouTube. And I'm like, Joyce, people are going to judge you anyway. So if you do a live, I've been doing live panels, that you're just going to get the feedback that people are already thinking. And that, you know, the truth, if it is the truth, then it deserves, if it isn't the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. So if people have, I don't know, or life in general views me a certain way, then I should take it. So it's kind of like the reason why I do lives is because, like, if how I view myself isn't the truth, then it deserves to be destroyed by the truth. And so I do lives because it's reflective of real life. You never get to edit or polish real life. So if I'm cringe, then I was like this in life anyway. So so this is kind of like trying to fast forward improving my demons. So it's like other people should be able to see my demons, or life should reflect back to me my demons. So it's like everything is a mirror for your soul. You know, every event in life is a mirror directly showing you how you are like. And if you would just listen carefully enough, everything is a teacher. And so I kind of view lives that way as well.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's also really processed. Like, I'm still like trying to understand what pre-processed means, but that's really cool that you had all that, you know, all that depth behind the lives. Because you know, if you ask someone else who's save your play, why did you lives? Like, hey, I wanted to. Like, they wouldn't have given this answer, you know. So it's really cool that you thought that through that much. So we covered actually quite a bit. So let's do a contrast a little bit, and then we'll talk about just, you know, your interest in typology at large, as well as like your YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So let's first do the compare and contrast. So first of all, we got to go back to the TI-FI thing. What do you mean you don't know what your preference is? This still doesn't make sense.
It's like, I don't care. I don't mind. Whatever.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, whatever you like.
I don't understand. I don't get it. I get people doing that to be polite. Okay, I can buy that. But for someone to legitimately have no preference, even as a savior DI, makes no sense to me.
Because you might have things you like more than I like. You know, I don't really. Yeah, so I'll toss it up to you.
Wow.
Because it kind of feels arbitrary. If I don't have a preference and you're making me choose, it makes me feel like I'm choosing like an arbitrary thing.
No, I get that. But my question is, how do you not have a preference? Is my question. What the fuck? You don't even know.
Yeah. As long as it's about typology, it's already in my preference. So anything else is a cherry on top.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Right. As long as it's within the box. Okay. So let me ask you this. If we weren't talking about typology, would you like, and someone were to ask you, what do you prefer to talk about? You would say typology.
Well, only if they care about typology.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If they ask me to choose from a bunch of topics I don't like, then it's like choosing from a sea of arbitrary choices. So I'd still let them choose too.
No, well, yeah. No, but like, wouldn't you want to control whether you talk about something you want to or not?
I'd want to control it, but what if we talk about typology and then I have to explain to them the dichotomies? Do you understand? Like, basically, if I go like, hey, I like to talk about typology, and then they're like, hey, I'm an INJT A, and then I'm like, there's no such thing as an INJT.
Oh. No. So the solution to that is you just find other people to talk about it with, like, you know, and then you just leave them. Like, that's the difference. Maybe, like, here's the thing, because I get it. If you're talking to, you know, someone who has no idea what typology is and they don't care, it's like I either change the topic or I leave. But I'm much more, at least for me, I'm much more open to just being like, all right, like, you know, bye. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to say. You seem to be more enduring of a topic you don't care about.
Yeah, that is true. Well, because I don't mind.
I don't know how you don't. You're a nice person. I've been saying this from the beginning that TI and FE is a much kinder axis than the FITs. That's my anecdote. It's probably not true, but that's my little sleep processing nugget. That's probably false, but because I don't give a shit. If you're talking about shit that I don't like, bye. Okay.
Mhm.
But okay, you probably don't prefer that, so I'm gonna switch it. We've talked about the sleep and the play a little bit. Well, okay, let me ask you this: what irritates you about people who are play above sleep? Let me ask you that.
That when we fight, what will happen is they'll try to go like, Joyce, what do you think? Joyce, what do you think? I don't know. Like they're kind of overly play. So with every little decision, sometimes they'll also go like, hey, what do you think? They're kind of like, Zelda has, there's that little fairy next to them.
Yeah,
And then it's kind of go like, hey, listen, hey, listen. So play can sometimes be obnoxious when it's badly timed play. So it's like play during a moment where I want to be sleeping. And they're like, hey, hi, hi. Kind of disrupts that chain of thought in the middle. I'm like,
yeah,
later, after.
yeah. Do you have a problem responding to text messages? I'm compiling a little SI here.
Yeah. I don't like texting.
You're one of those. I'm begrudgingly accepting that people with sleep above play might be like this.
Yeah.
They don't respond to their fucking texts. It's just is what it is. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'll give you a perfect contrast. Like this week alone on Messenger alone, I'm pretty sure I've messaged like 20 people, 20 to 30 people on just Messenger. Now, granted, it was partly for game night stuff, but like even that, you see what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
volume of people I'm talking to is way higher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because of my line of work or my line of YouTube channel, I have to be emailing people all the time.
Right.
But I naturally don't like prolonged texting. Although, strangely enough, like I like face to face, like this. Yeah, better.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's good. I mean, the NINE, I'm sure you've probably talked about this to death. Do you have like a sleep nugget on that?
Yeah, any's are like tangents on tangents on tangents. They're kind of like a brain with multiple tabs open. You have different tabs, different wiki pages. NE is like a wiki page that leads to a wiki page that leads to a wiki page. Yeah, it's like a rabbit hole of thoughts, a magpie of thoughts. Yeah, it's very exploratory, and it kind of understands as it's going along because it tends to be associated with play. So it tends to like learn as it goes. Typically, when it's with play. With NI people are more succinct, more get to the point, more to the point because they have that one concept. So it's easy to just go straight to that concept. It's like a quick way of just shooting your way to the abstract. So it has like an abstract point. NI is like an abstract point you're trying to make. Yeah. So it's always trying to convey that concept. So it's kind of like concentrated. So so there's juice that's diluted and there's juice that's concentrated. The introverted functions are kind of like concentrated juice, like it's all in a concentrated bunch. It's pure juice. Whereas the extroverted functions, they're more like juice dispersed in a sea of water. So it's like it's playing around with the external world. It has like, I don't know, like extroverted functions, they kind of have like tentacles for the outer world. So they're kind of like what Jung says, that with the extrovert, everything is about the object. So it's more bouncing idea. Like NE is naturally going to want to bounce ideas and brainstorm more because it's interacting with the outside world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna do another wiki page, any channel change. Would you? So there's two questions I have. One, and this is a selfish question. Do you feel like SI is making sensory points then? Like, how would you contrast SI and NI?
Yeah. So I would say your introverted functions are where you get stuck. So SI will try to make a sensory point when it's talking about details. Sometimes it will like trail off in a conversation just to talk about its details. So it'll make everything back about its details. So it'll go like, it'll see an external world thing and it'll want to relate everything back to those like little details. Does that make sense? Like just like NI takes the external world and relates everything back to these abstract concepts that it has. Yeah.
Okay, really good. My follow-up question is what's your experience like, or maybe not necessarily your experience. How would you say NE and NI interact with each other, whether it's conversation on projects? Like, because if what you're saying is true, where NE is creating all these different wiki pages and NI is creating these points, like what is that like practically? Like,
Yeah, it's kind of like the NI person will say something and then the NE person will expand. So they'll take it and then they'll run with it. Yeah, so the NE user will compare it to different things. Like you did during our conversation, you talked about how there is this chaos person who ended up needing to control a lot of things in their life to make sure they could keep being chaosy. And so you're relating something I said back to like more NESI points. And
right? Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, I was relating it back to the SI point.
yeah,
Right. I was like, because in my mind was locked onto that sensory. So I see what you're saying. Like,
yeah,
it's like, I was
yeah,
like, I need to relate it back. So the NE was trying to force it back to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So SI and NI is what you lock onto. NI will lock onto concepts, and SI will lock onto details. Yeah, or facts. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Really good. I think that should be it. Oh, I guess the last one, and this is also a selfish one. I'm curious what your gold nugget is on this. Okay. SF sleep versus NT sleep,
Hmm.
with the caveat that they're both double masculine, because that's the case for us.
Hmm. Yeah. So yours is SF sleep and mine's is NT sleep. And
Yes.
to contrast that,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's start with you then. How is SF sleep?
You gotta put me on the fucking spot. Okay. I don't process. I told you this. Okay. Honestly, I don't. It's hard to say, and maybe that's it's still hard for me to like narrow down what it is. I can just give you activities I associate with it. Like I will. So one of the things my SF sleep I know it does is it does replay a lot of things that I like it's obsessive, right? Like I'll re-listen to the same music, I'll replay the same games, I'll re-talk to the same person or think about that same person. um Not just in a nostalgic way, although there is also that element, but it's just like it's just an obsessiveness. I don't even know why I do it. It's just I'm constantly replaying. Like I replayed like the Super Smash Brothers music like 3 times before jumping on this call. I don't know why. Okay. So that's one element. Now, where I would say the processing, the more stereotypical processing element comes in experientially, this is more like journaling. It does seem to have very much to do with popularity, status, my experiences, my frustrations, my anger gets very intense. Um, and yeah, it narrows down into checklists. I don't know how to say it. It's like checklist of what I need to do, or checklist of what I need to prioritize, or my manifesto. Like I know that was probably really scattered, but
Hmm.
yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah. NT sleep is kind of like you're trying to make sense of the world. Like you're trying to put the puzzle pieces together of the world, bang blocks to understand things better. So it's kind of like if you leave me off with something during this chat with something I'm going to think about, I might like NT block bang in my own time. So I find my TI it shows up the most when I'm alone. When I'm with
Yeah.
people, it's weird. I'm in more of an FE kind of state because it's almost like FE turns on when there's people around, but when I'm alone, the TI is what turns on, but it goes on hyperdrive. Yeah, he's trying
Yeah,
to understand.
my SF doesn't think. I mean, maybe no shit, Reggie, but it's not like a thinker. Like when I'm left alone, it's pure emotion,
Hmm.
right? It's like that's why sometimes it's not like I wonder, but sometimes I'm like, for a thinker, I don't think too much.
Yeah,
I can quickly, like, my gift is, maybe my NT play is like, I can quickly like tell you your thing is dumb in the moment, and then I'll move on. Because I'm like, oh, obviously this is dumb because this is this, and then I move on. Whereas my SF sleep is, it's pure, like, it's a purely emotional. I like this, I don't like this, I hate this, I don't hate this. This is valuable, this is what I want. That type of shit.
Yeah. So it's kind of like your thinking is with the tribe. That's why it's DE and
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
My feeling is with the tribe. That's why. Yeah.
So do you feel like unemotional when you're by yourself? You're just not.
Yeah.
That's
When I'm
so,
with people, I'm feeling emotional though. Like when
that's
I'm
so
talking to you, I actually feel the FE. My emotions are more in the moment, and it's with people.
my emotions are not like, oh well, not true. My emotions, whenever they are with people, it's almost like it's exploding out of me because there's an overflow. But when I'm by myself, it's more of a, I don't know how to describe it. It's not what you're doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So okay, so maybe by by extension, do you feel like you're only intuitive when you're by yourself, or no? I guess maybe that's not true, because even when we're talking, you're still quite intuitive.
Yeah, I'm intuitive all around. I can't escape it. It's my water. Yeah, it's kind of like my eyes. It's like I can't see it, but it's what I see everything through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, really good. All right, I'm fucking over it. Guys, go to Bingaman's channel. Okay. Next, let's talk about what you care about. Oh, the limited preferences you have. Let's talk about typology at large, right? So you have a YouTube channel doing extremely well, guys. Check it out. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, you have a lot of these frameworks. Like, matter of fact, let me list off, because I wrote it down. You're a certified MBTI practitioner. You're a Jungian typology analyst. You're a master NLP practitioner and a life coach. So you have a lot of different frameworks going on. Like, how are you managing that?
I just do, because they're all typology related at the end of the day.
Right.
Like, let me explain. With NLP, it's kind of, it fuels my NI, because it's basically understanding that there's an action and there's a reaction, and between the space of you having a reaction and you acting on it, there's the choice that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's very meta. So it's kind of like learning the patterns of your mind so that you can master the patterns of your mind so that you have more control over your life. NLP is kind of Darren Brownie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being like a Jungian typology analyst, that's like me analyzing type, which is what Jung created. So I like to go off of Jung's original texts as well. And with the certification in MBTI, that was interesting, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also certified or getting certified with Personality Hacker as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What was your PhD going to be in?
Human resources, which is also related to type in a way, because a form of human resources is psychological assessments, or it's assessments for the workplace.
All right.
And that includes OP, that includes type. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so it sounds like, so I guess my question is, have you just always been interested in typology, or is this like an acquired taste?
Acquired taste. I was a TI savior. I mean, I am a TI savior. So what happened is I was like highly skeptical of type when I first came about it. What happened was I had an ENFP friend who typed me in the MBTI, and she told me to take a test, but she told me, well, whatever you get, you're wrong, because I already know your type. Well, I got INFJ on the test, but she thought I was an INFJ too. But yeah, that's what happened. I find with some FI users, they kind of like to, like, they get some sort of pride from knowing you better than you know yourself. It's kind of like, yeah, do you have that too?
Yeah. Absolutely.
She has that. Yeah. So that's what introduced me. And when she was explaining to me my type, it made me feel seen and understood on a level that I never felt by a human being. So it made me see that there was credibility in type. Yeah.
This is gonna sound this isn't any Wikipedia. Now I'm gonna think about that all the time. Opening up a new Wikipedia page, do you feel like then your interest in type, you want to make other people feel seen the way you felt seen by it? Oh, that's not cool.
Yeah, I do. I'm a life coach, and what my phrase is so far is I want to be a healthy facilitator or a helpful facilitator of people's soul development, so the development of their soul. And by doing this, type can really make you understand a person on a deeper level. So you can basically take anyone's behavior and you can describe it in the lens of type. And type is also a great way, a starting place for them to then go deeper into their behaviors. Because now you have this anchor point. Now you have a terminology to put to it. It gives it a sort of understanding. It makes it easier to kind of talk about. And when you make human phenomenon easier to talk about, it allows people to talk about their experiences more freely. And when people talk about their experiences more freely, you let them really share about their soul. And when that's when the real healing happens, when you can break through the layers, like you get through the top layer of the iceberg and you get to the lower layers of the iceberg. That's where the action is. Yeah. So type is a way. It's kind of like an excuse to learn about someone's soul.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, well, psyche means soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Type is a gateway to the psyche.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget that. That's a really good reminder. I forget, at least from a phenomenological point of view, that, you know, we are this deep, right? And there are these layers, and that there, I don't know, there's a core to us, or I don't know how to word that, but yeah, I think your fascination with that's really cool. Have you felt like you have helped your clients get to that more healing, that deeper healing space? And if so, like, I mean, I guess maybe let me actually just ask that one question.
Yeah, I do feel like I have. I feel like the indicators of when something truly touches someone is when they start crying. When the waterworks start, you know you hit something real. Yeah. It's like when someone hears about a type, whether it be Enneagram, OP, or another system, when they start crying, it's kind of like, wow, this is describing me. This is me. And yeah, I know I've hit something good, a gold mine when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like healing necessitates pain. So if you're feeling that pain and those tears coming, that's when the healing can start. You can never be happy and fully heal. You have to go to your dark side. You have to go to your shadow to heal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. I mean, that kind of summarizes you in a sense, because I think we've covered everything. Do you feel like there's anything else before we go to the Q&A? Is there anything else that you feel like I've missed? I'm sure I have.
I'm good with whatever. I told you.
Oh my God, I forgot. You don't fucking care. God damn it. This is not helpful. Have you considered that? Have you considered that you not having preferences is not helpful at times?
I'm DI savior. I kind of don't care that it's not helpful.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, good call out. Really good. Okay, let's do the Q&A. But thank you for sharing all that. I thought that was very meaningful. All right, let's do the Q&A and look at the what's going on here. Okay, here's a question from Mina. Do you ever feel like relying so heavily on NI concepts as much as... Anyway, you can read it.
Yeah, I do think it can be limiting. I think extroverted intuition users notice it the most. Like when I'll say an NI concept, sometimes the NE user will go like, but there's an exception here and an exception here. What about this? And so it can be limiting because it's kind of like seeing life and quickly seeing that it fits into a concept. So it's kind of like quickly putting things into concepts. So in a way, it's like it's not giving them a chance to show otherwise. But I feel like I do try to show otherwise. Like I give them space to show otherwise. But NI can be kind of limiting because it's kind of like when you are driving a car or you buy a new car, you're going to notice every other person who has that car. So you're going to go like, why is everyone driving the same car as me? But that's not true. Like people had that car before you bought it too. It's just that now that you bought it, now that your mind is focusing and it's noticing all those other cars. And an NI concept can be the same way. So it's like if you've figured out an NI conclusion to an abstract concept, sometimes you'll notice it everywhere, not because it's true, but because you've kind of narrowed down on that, and sometimes that's all you can kind of see, even if you don't mean for that to be the case. So yeah, it can be limiting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, really good. I don't know what's going on here. I think that's it.
Cool.
Oh wait, one last question. Joyce, where else do you choose to play besides typology? This.
I try to play when I go out and hang out with people because I have blast even lower down than I have play. So sometimes I use play just to interact with the outer world. Yeah, so I just use it generally. You know. I have really short sleep answers. If you want me to expand, I can if you want. So where I play is I like to play right now because I see everyone having useful information. Like I try to view everyone as a lesson or everyone as a teacher because I think if you approach everything in a beginner's mindset, with a beginner's mindset, you can learn the most. So I try to just play in general because I want to learn from, that neighbor, learn from that janitor, learn from someone, because what if you learn something that could change your life forever? And you don't want to miss that opportunity. I have a fear of, there's opportunity costs. I'm afraid of that opportunity cost that will cost me something really important in my life. Yeah. So I generally play with people. Yeah. Due to fear of ruining my own life. If I don't.
Yeah. Okay, really good. So let's go ahead and wrap up. I'm gonna do my awkward blast, but Joyce, I appreciate it. So guys, like she said, she gave you all the sleep answers. Probably, if you really wanted, you could find probably everything about her type in this one video. I know some of you guys have OI, so maybe in this 1 minute video, everything is here. But me as the OE, I'm telling you, there's other channels. Okay, there's Benjamin, there's ENFP Male, Joyce 100% did a Benjamin interview, so go check that out. Okay. Next, like I said, game night, OP game night. We're doing Among Us, Jackbox Barty. Guys, Saturday, February 6th. Don't be that guy, because I know for a fact someone's gonna be like, oh, I didn't want to play, and then they're gonna come bother me about when's the next one, and you're gonna be salty, because the next one might not happen because I have OE. Haha. So come join us with this one. Come join us. I'm gonna close down probably the guest list by tomorrow. So feel free to reach out today so that I can get you on the guest list and so we can kind of get everything finalized. Next, and actually this is very important. So right now, I know you guys are skipping around. Some of you, you're just like me, okay? I have a short attention span. I'm still working on that, okay? So we're going to get timestamps eventually on all these episodes. I'm going from most viewed to least viewed. So if you want Joyce to have some timestamps, watch it a lot. Click on it a lot. Get it up the algorithm. Thank you, okay? Finally, I don't give a fuck about thumbs downs. We already know this, but, Joyce, I don't see why you would thumbs down this. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? So, but thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter. Leave a comment. Just give some feedback. Leave a comment. I read all my comments. And then feel free to subscribe so you can get all the notifications for who else is coming out. I know it's Blast. I know you hate Blast, but I have to do it sometimes. So that's it. Joyce, again, really appreciate it. Everybody, really appreciate you joining us. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.
I'll see you. Bye, everyone.